Happy Tuesday, Wiley. That's who I am. I'm Wiley, your favorite information scientist and librarian. How y'all doing today? How y'all feel? Today I was thinking about care. I was thinking about care. And here's the experience I was thinking about. Probably about 2-3 weeks ago, I was sharing an experience with scholar friends about going to this conference and how the people that I met at the conference really took time to get to know you, to ask your name, to talk with you about your research. It was very much personable and intentional. It was really a great conference. It was my first time there. They had a lot of people, doctoral students from various disciplines, faculty from a wide array of disciplines, but mostly information science, Black studies, media, film, communication, and others. And it was just really, it felt like being seen, heard, and understood, whether you were presenting or not. You just felt really cared for. And I remember one of my when I was sharing it, the experience, one of my grad school friends was like, that was wonderful. And what I was describing was great, as well as they made the comment that it's also the basic thing that you expect or hope for. And I understood what that particular person meant. I didn't think it was a slight or anything negative at all, but it just really made me think about, is it basic? Is it something that everybody understands and does, because I think a lot of times as a grad student, people are all in, and whether it's, people on your committee, your advisor, or just other faculty or support staff or at conferences, people are always asking, as well as your friends, are asking the question, how can I support you? And not just in the terms of, like I said, advisors and committees. I can think about being in different community groups, and that's often a question, how can I support you? Which one requires you to really be in tune with yourself and aware of what your needs are and your level of comfortability and vulnerability in sharing those with others, as well as being willing to allow people to help you and provide support for you, no matter what the task is, or being willing to just say out loud, I need help with, and how sometimes that can be a challenge for people, because if you've ever had the experience of hoping that people would help you and they didn't come through, or people just didn't because they didn't, or if you're the person that's always the strong one, that's always the person that has it together, or that's what people see you as, so they never really see you as a person that needs help, sometimes it can feel like you're drowning. Seriously, it can feel like you're drowning and people are around you and no one knows but you. Real talk. That's a real experience. So it just made me think about like care, and in my own life, how sometimes it's been really hard to share I need help with, or to ask, for help. And how in many ways I find myself learning how to do that, and, allowing people to help me. And giving them the chance, not just the expectation that they won't come through. And then also I was thinking about like what care is, and I wrote some notes. I did, I had to write some notes, because today also I had a eye doctor appointment. And while the doctor in itself was nice, the support staff, when they took you back to the office, that particular person really lacked warmth. It was not care, not to me. But yes, did I complete, did she perform the steps of testing? Could I see this? Could I see that? Yeah, she did that. But there could have been some more things that she could have been communicated. And when I asked, and it didn't matter how I asked it, I was nice about it. I said, hey, because there was this one test where they wanted to test the pressure in my eyes, and I was explaining to her I didn't have a problem with that because she wanted me to take out my contacts. I was just asking, would there be somebody that either A, had the apparatus that I used to put my contacts back in, or did somebody in the office know how to help me if they only had those two things that she had? She got upset at the question. I was like, it's not like I said, something negative, but I was just asking because I've been in that situation before. at other offices. And they're like, oh, yeah, I don't know how, but I'm going to find somebody. Because I'm like, what I don't want to happen is for me to take out the contacts. And then I'm the one that has to put the contacts back in and figure out how I'm going to drive home. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not like, I can't just take a bus from here. I am, you know, a 40-minute car ride from my house. This is not like I'm, you know, somewhere in my city. So it was an honest question. But it was like, yes, did I see the doctor? Yes. Did the person perform what was necessary? Yes. But did I receive care? Not so much. And then I can think about, like, was, you know, just sharing about, you know, the experience at the conference. Yes, I've been to conferences, and people have been extremely supportive just to get to know you, or just to know about other people and talk about their research. And there have been conferences where that's not been the experience. Also, sometimes going to conferences can feel like you're a guppy in the ocean, so you know very little people. Very little, but I mean very few people. So sometimes it can be really hard to get to know people, or a challenge to get to know people. Yet sometimes it can be the greatest experience, you know, all around. And then overly, like I said, you can often sometimes need care, and people don't necessarily know how to show up for you, so they don't. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Real talk. So back to my notes. So care is being considered, not just process, not just like the next patient, the next student, the next passenger, but I see you. Care is responsiveness. When you say I'm not comfortable, care looks like slowing down, explaining, adjusting, not just pushing through. Attunement. Someone noticing your tone, your hesitation, the context without you fighting to be understood. Care is follow through, not just feedback, not just doing the test, showing up once. It's staying engaged, communicating, being reliable. And when we say communicating, we mean, because sometimes people are talking, but that comprehension and that synthesis does not necessarily happen. Or sometimes people are communicating, but they'll only tell you what you ask. And if you don't know the questions to ask, you're not getting any information. So is it really communicating? Yes, maybe, maybe no. I don't know. It's a challenge, you know. Care is also how something is done. It not just that you did it, because you can do something, but that doesn't mean that you really cared about it. You know what I'm saying? And care is when someone holds your experience in mind when and while they're interacting with you. And I think sometimes in life we get so busy, we're so in tune with ourselves sometimes, that sometimes it feels like caring for other people's experience, or just being aware of them, or taking, you know, the time is just something that people just don't take time for. And it can be the simplest thing, yet it's the thing that remains, you know, undone. And I don't have answers for it. This is not complaints. It's just sharing experiences, because I can think of other groups where, you know, other grad students, friends. I had a friend that was literally talking to me about at their institution being in a huge lab group, and the subject that they're studying is not necessarily the same subject that their advisor studies. And I think it's like 3 of them that they're in the group because their advisor is known as the most helpful person in their department on their institution. Cool. And my friend was like, hey, you know, when I'm giving talks and stuff, you know, my advisor doesn't come to those talks, or doesn't even ask me about it. And our group is large, and I feel like, am I being soft, or am I complaining too much if I just want them to ask me how it's going, or if I just want them to show up for me in the way that I watch them show up for others, because that's care to me. Yet learning how to express that is something that this particular friend was like, he's like, I can say it to my friends, I can say it to you, but, you know, am I going to say it to, you know, my advisor who has this power, or just the power dynamic, even though the friend was like, I don't think necessarily that they're going to do anything negative. I just feel really scared about it, is what that friend said to me. And I was like, I understand. I get it. Because you want care, you want support. And sometimes, you know, people find that they have to cultivate the care and support that they need from people outside of their committee, outside of their group. And when they do that, that's cool. You can get it. No one's saying that one person has to be everything. Yet I think sometimes what my friend was expressing was the grief of unmet expectations, the grief of unexpressed expectations, or how you thought it could be. Because I can tell you that I've seen a lot of TikTok videos that talk about doctoral student experiences, and all of them are varied. Yet sometimes what people are really talking about is, I want to be seen, I want to be understood, and I want to be supported. And when we say support financially, yes, but also emotionally and mentally, and finding people who see you, finding people who understand, finding people who will sit with you in the process, finding people who will encourage and empower you, and also finding it within yourself to keep going, because while you're creating and having a cultivating a network of support, you also have to do the tasks as writing the dissertation, completing the study in order to graduate. Food for thought. What's your care like? Let me know. Peace. Thanks for listening.